everyone, it's Mithrilda and welcome back to my journey of learning to draw. So for the past week, I've been hard at work working on my April monthly art challenge focusing on heads and portraits. For more information, look in the description for the instructions for the challenge, or look at my previous video where I introduce it. It has been so much fun watching everyone get so excited and participate and drawing from the same pictures just like I imagined. Honestly, the response has been way more than I could ever hope for, so thank you to everyone who has participated so far, and I will be featuring the art of several people who have given me permission to show off their art, and I am so excited to be able to show off like everyone's beautiful work. So going into this challenge, I knew that this was a weak spot for myself, and this is something that I needed to practice, which is why I made a monthly art challenge focusing on this. But I will admit that I was disheartened a bit by my first attempts at drawing heads. I don't know, I guess I just felt that since I've been trying to learn to draw for a little bit over 2 years, that I would be able to do better than I did. And I didn't. I did as well as my skill level has been built up to, which is something I'm not really satisfied with. In my past attempts at drawing heads, I've gotten a lot of the same critiques. The most visible of which I think is that I don't know how to place the eyes. Like if you pretend that the front of the face is like one flat plane, then the eyes are like sitting on top of that plane rather than going into the eye socket. And like I'm aware of that and people have told me, and I feel like intellectually I know that that's a problem I need to fix, but I haven't been able to do it. And I'm hoping that's one of the big things I'm going to be working on this month. And as you can see from my first attempts at head constructions from reference, these heads do not look like the reference pictures at all. I have no idea how to capture a likeness. That is something I would also like to work on. Moving on to the head construction from imagination, I really don't know what I'm doing here. Like, I've studied the heads tutorial from Trent's Toolbox. If you remember that video, I definitely improved a lot, but because after that I didn't reinforce that knowledge with further practice, it's all fallen out of my head at this point. The very last face on the right side, I did this one on stream, and I was hoping to draw a pretty lady. And this is my honest to goodness best attempt at it, and I don't think I was very successful. It just looks like a smug young man, which I feel like is very different from my goal. I don't know, I guess like I would like to be able to draw heads from imagination with whatever attitude, expression, angle, and look that I'm looking for. And I can't do that at all at this point. Also, in the first week of this challenge, I'm supposed to be drawing 3 portraits from reference. So in my mind, that just meant something that would, take a little longer, take a little bit more effort. And I think it's very telling that whenever I try to draw something that actually looks good aesthetically, I don't go for construction methods, and I go straight for just trying to sight things and observe things and place all the features. And in my mind, I feel like this is not as effective of a technique of learning to draw heads from imagination. Because in my mind, I'm thinking I should be able to look at pictures and turn it into like a 3D model in my head, like such as in the Loomis framework. And then I'll learn how to construct those properly. And if I learn how to construct it and rotate it, then I'll be able to draw any head I want. But that skill, I just don't have it. So then I have to revert to this thing that's easier, but will ultimately not take me as far. Please correct me if this is wrong. This is just, I guess, my thought process so far. So then for the next few days, I really wanted to explore doing portraits more. And in this first attempt, I was trying to use a lot of techniques I was not familiar with, like using this brush that I didn't know how to control, and trying to paint in Procreate, which is something I've never really done before. So I had to battle a lot of competing forces in trying to do this art. I feel like the first painting is definitely a failure for me, and I wanted to try it again using other techniques. So I posted the first one in the Discord, and someone gave me the advice to try to block in the shapes of the shadows first. So that's what I tried to do for the second piece. And I feel like I'm definitely a lot happier with it. It captures the likeness a lot more, but then it goes back to I didn't use construction for it. So how is this gonna help me draw heads from imagination? I don't know. If there's like a real answer to that, I would love to know. I'm just doing the best I can with what I know so far, right? Because week 1 is not about learning. It's about figuring out where you are and figuring out a basis point so you can compare your skill here with at the end of the month. And I hope that it'll be a great improvement. But if it isn't, then that's fine, because even if it's not apparent on the outside, your brain is always absorbing and taking things in. Then the next day, I wanted to continue with the portraits because I thought it would be fun. I feel like I was having so much trouble with the lips. I feel like that's a consistent problem area for me, just like not understanding how lips work. Like, I don't know why some lines are harder than others. Like, I'm staring at it and I feel like I can see the angles, I can see the directions, and I try to recreate the same lines and it just doesn't look right. I feel like it would just be really great to have that feedback on what I'm doing and how I can improve, which was why I sought out a mentorship with someone. I really hope I can continue that soon. I know that I can improve on my own, but if I have the money, which I don't right now, but if I have the money, I am definitely willing to pay someone to tell me what's wrong with my art so I can get better. So here I did some more of the head constructions, emphasis on the quotes from reference, and they're not really. Like, I leaned heavily on just straight observation here because this is what I know how to do. I don't really know how to do beautiful head constructions. And I'm not saying like I need to draw a perfect Loomis head. I'm saying I want to learn that framework so that I can make a shape and I know what that shape looks like and I can adjust that shape to whatever head I'm drawing. I don't know if I can really articulate my thoughts correctly on this. I can only show some examples of what I'm saying. So I'm recording the audio right now. I'm not sure exactly what pictures I will be showing, but there's some interesting stuff on Pinterest that I found, which hopefully articulates my point a bit better. Like, it's not about drawing the perfect construction. It's about being able to recreate a head in real life using a 3D model object that I can draw and then rotate and then change in my mind and on the paper. And so I think these came out better than the ones I did in the beginning, but only because I didn't actually use construction to draw them, if you know what I mean. And here I tried some more portraits without reference. Facial expressions are something that's been so far down my to-do list. Like, I can't even draw a head or a face, so I definitely can't draw smiles or anything other than just like someone looking moodily in a neutral look at the camera or something like that. I don't know anything about head anatomy. I don't know anything about placing necks. I'm just very clueless in general. Again, I guess I feel like I should know more because I've been looking at heads my entire life. Like, why can't I draw them if I've been seeing them so much? But I feel like the answer is that like I don't really see them, Like, drawing is just learning to see. And there's so much I'm not seeing because I don't have the prerequisite knowledge to start even training that skill. And so I'm really looking forward to developing that. So then I did some more portraits from reference. I feel like I'm getting a bit better with this, especially after warming up and I don't think I've drawn, a real portrait in like a year or more at this point, which is probably not very good for actually developing my skills. The one in the middle here, I'm pretty proud of it because this is not something I would have normally attempted. I would have said, I'm not ready for that yet. Like, I don't know how to draw hair. I don't know how to draw smiles. Like, I shouldn't draw this. But today, I was just feeling, hey, this looks like a fun thing to draw. This is a beautiful girl, and I want to be able to express that on the paper. and I went for it. And I'm not entirely happy with how it came out, but I know that it's one step toward being able to draw whatever I want. And I was able to listen to my feelings and draw it instead of my brain, which said I'm not ready. And I am proud of myself, and I'm gonna pat myself on the back for that one. And then this guy here on the right with the very square chin. Like, we've been talking in the Discord about this guy's chin this whole time. His chin is so interesting. It's like the squarest chin ever. And I feel like this is actually the closest likeness I've gotten so far, which is exciting. So then we'll finish off my art here with my last 3 pictures without reference. For some reason, I draw a lot of like witchy type women with long noses and long chins. It's just fun to draw that. In the middle, I tried to stretch myself a bit more by adding a body to go along with the head, and she's smiling, but I'm not sure how well that turned out. And at the very end, I did a guy with a bumpy nose because I thought that would be fun, and I don't know any men hairstyles, so I tried my best. So that is my week 1 of my April art challenge, and so that was 23 drawings that I had assigned, and I did 23 drawings. I feel like goals like this sort of, have a way of making you fall in line. I have gotten the feedback that for some people this was a lot and that they couldn't finish it, and I was thinking, oh no, like, should I decrease the number of homeworks to do in the next weeks? But then I feel like, I don't know, like I rise to the occasion, I guess. If I assign myself less, I'm gonna do less. And if I assign myself just enough, then I'm gonna do it. If I assign way too much, then I go back to the unmotivated side and I don't do as much. So counting up the number of drawings, we have 23 for the first week, then we have 30 for the second week, 25 for the third week, and then 40 for week 4. And I don't know if that's too much, but I think I might just keep it the way it is, because I feel like if I'm improving and I'm like, yay, progress, then I'll want to draw more as time goes on. Like, it kind of hurts, to draw these first drawings, at least for me, because I'm like, oh no, they kind of suck. I'm hoping that as time goes on and I improve, I'll be like, I can't stop drawing, they're turning out so much better than I've ever imagined, or something like that. I'm not sure. Anyways, let's go into some of the art that my lovely followers have sent to me through Discord. The first person whose art I would like to talk about is IDK Wada, and that is because I feel like it really embodies what I mean by doing construction well in a way that molds to the individual heads you're actually trying to draw. Because I can definitely feel the solidity of these heads, and I can see like the 3D-ness of it, and it also captures the likenesses of the people perfectly. And that is the sort of goal I am aiming for, and I really appreciate being able to look at his work and try to suss out like why mine doesn't read that way and why his can really capture the likeness so well. So thank you for participating. I love your work. Next, I would like to feature Virtual SG, who's been hanging out with me on Instagram a lot. Shout out to my Instagram. And I really love how they've been posting some notes along with their drawings, because I feel like it's really important to stay aware while you're practicing and not just go into autopilot, because it's important to examine your work as you're doing it and course correct. You don't want to go too far off into a rabbit hole and go in the wrong direction. And I love how they're, maintaining self-awareness and staying on top of keeping the goal in mind, which is improvement. Next is Peksu, who has the cutest art Tumblr. I loved scrolling through it and seeing like the same pictures I've been drawing, the draw box exercises, some figuary stuff, and I'm like, ooh, I remember that. I love the way they interpreted this. I just really love this shared art experience we're able to have on the internet now, seeing everyone else's interpretations of the same thing. It's wonderful. And I love their paintings. I love the way they're really able to capture that form. I'm really digging it. Then we have Boogie, whose number one thing he likes is Nier Automata, so they're great in my book just for that. And here's what he says. Here's my Insta. I also have a Twitter, but I don't use it much. The thing I struggled with the most was eye sizes and trying to make it look like the person I was drawing. Like with the slope of the forehead down to the chin, if someone was looking down, I would always catch myself making the head more straight on while having the rest of the features on a different angle, so that was a bit frustrating. It's fun having a community challenge going on. Never really did anything like this before, so it's a nice change of pace. Don't really have any complaints, but the last week looks like a lot. Mostly the draw 10 heads, then draw them again with something different about them, so it's 5 reconstructions, the 5 portraits, then 20 heads, then 10 imagination heads. 40 heads seems like a lot, but this week was a lot of fun. So, Boogie, I'm really glad you've been enjoying so far. I've really been enjoying this too. I don't really do stuff like this either, except for February, so this has been a really great experience. I have the same problem as you. When I was trying to do the heads from imagination, for several of them, it was supposed to be like the head was tilted down and the eyes are supposed to look up, or the head is tilted up and the eyes are supposed to look down, and I couldn't figure out how to do that effect. Next up, we have Kian, who has drawn a lot of really exciting and imaginative heads without reference. I feel like whenever I try to draw heads without reference, I always default to the same several archetypes that I've drawn before, like the witchy lady or the big burly strong man with like the thick nose and the butt chin and the mustache, because that was in Trent's tutorial, so I can't stop drawing it. But it was really refreshing seeing all this creativity, and it's something I can definitely learn from. Next up, we have Lula Scarlett, who has been hanging out a lot on the Twitch streams. So hello, thank you for hanging out. It's great talking to you. And they've been doing just these adorable paintings, and they even used color in one, which I am definitely too afraid to venture into. So I definitely need to follow them where the color is leading. Next, we have Naxel, who joined in on the challenge and is also getting used to using their Wacom tablet after a long break, which I definitely relate to, especially with trying to just figure out all the painting tools in Procreate and having such a struggle with that. So very proud of them for getting back into digital and for jumping into a challenge like this. Next up, we have Tepro Troll Boy, whose art is just absolutely beautiful. I really love their drawing skill because they can really capture that likeness. I love the way they paint and can really show the forms. I really need to figure out how to do that because I am so confused about how to paint, clearly from earlier in my video. Please teach me your secrets, senpai. They also went with a more narrative approach to the heads from imagination, which is amazing and tragic, and like, I love all of it. So he says, if you want to use my art, anything's on the table, even the bad ones. I love that attitude. I've realized that a lot of the struggle for me is getting the face to be less in the direction of strong perspective. Getting the major planes of the face was hard too. I slowly learned to adapt them with the help of looking at IDK Ueda's practice. Yes! I'm super behind on the head's construction, but if a deadline exists, I won't fail to meet it. Thank you for making this challenge and setting the rules for it. It takes some courage to start something like this. Aw, thank you so much. I think your art is just amazing and adorable, and I look up to both you and IDK Ueda as I am trying to wade through this challenge. I think it was a great idea to make everyone draw the same heads, so then we can really apply what the people we look up to are doing, like line by line, if we really wanted to. You know, I think it might be fun to do studies of the other artists who have been participating in this challenge. Let me know if that sounds interesting to anyone. Moving on, we have my friend and fellow YouTuber Liz V Art coming in with the rare traditional art. Does this count as a collab? I think these are just so cute, and I feel like traditional takes so much courage, and I don't know if I'm really ready for that, but kudos to you, girl. And then we have Rydenink, someone who is a fellow beginner trying to figure out the Loomis head technique. I feel like we're pretty much at the same place, trying to puzzle through all this. So good job for getting started. I'm very excited to be watching the instructional videos next week and really try to relearn this from the ground up, because I feel like I keep trying to do Loomis because everyone's like, oh, Loomis is the god, Loomis is amazing and he's the best at everything. And I try to learn it and then I fall flat on my face and I fail and then I feel bad and then I forget everything and then I try again. Hopefully this is the time where I actually learn things. So thank you so much to everyone who has participated so far. If you haven't yet or you're just learning about this, feel free to drop in. You can start at the week 1 homework. You can start at week 2 homework. You cannot use my curriculum at all. Every art practicing heads and portraits is welcome in the Discord, so please share it with me and I would love to see it. Also, I'm trying to think of what I should do for next month because I feel like at this point I already know I'm going to want to keep studying heads and portraits well past the 1 month barrier, but I don't really know what the next steps are after, kind of getting familiar with the Loomis construction technique. Like, what's the next step? Do I start learning other techniques like Steve Houston or Michael Hampton? Do I go for facial anatomy? Do I go for the individual features? Like, what should May be about? Like, what should I be studying in May is what I'm saying after you take a look at what the curriculum is so far for April. Anyways, the video turned out a lot longer than I thought it would be, so thank you to everyone who has participated. Thank you so much to everyone who has volunteered your art to help inspire others. Be sure to send in your art for the next video. If you send it before I finish making my video, I will definitely feature it no matter what. I can't wait to see how far we go and how much we learn next week. I hope everyone has a safe, healthy day. Now, get back to work.